everybody, it's Stephen Chelsea Scott with Come Follow Me.
Hi you guys!
Welcome to today's lesson. Today's lesson is the Kingdom of Heaven, in case you were wondering. We are doing Matthew 13, Luke chapter 8 and 13. We are March the 20th through the 26th. We have come so far.
We have come so far, and so far to Jerusalem. We're headed there in October. We are so excited. Okay.
I think about it every day. So for those who don't know, we are doing a Come Follow Me Jerusalem trip in October. It's full.
It's
but
full.
We want to be able to do them again, and so just stay posted. We don't know how that looks. This is exciting. I asked Chelsea if I could be like, how annoying it would be if I talked about it every day until October, and she said, not annoying at all.
We are excited about it though. So thank you so much for joining us today. We love you guys. You mean so much to us. We appreciate you joining our class today, and also for all the comments, and we want you to continue to comment and share as you're learning. You're going to share in the comments what you're learning so we can learn together. We really appreciate your support and sharing this video, liking it, all the things. Thank you so much. We do have a shout out, which was a really fun one because someone reacted like crazy to Steve's like wee pig thing that we were like, what?
That wasn't planned, by the way. So, Hank Holiday, I want to hank you for your comment. Because he said, okay, finally you got me to laugh, and I know that didn't get you to laugh, but here's your fist pump, brother. And your high five. Whoa, bam!
And your heart. Thank you so much. We love hearing from you, Hank.
It just makes me want to tell more dad jokes all day.
Yes. Make people laugh. It's good.
I love a good dad joke. So if you have them, put them in the comment section down below. I'd like a good laugh. Maybe some other people will like them too. Keep them appropriate and keep them, G-rated. That would be great.
Because we do read them around the kitchen table, sometimes with all our kids, and laugh. It's really kind of weird, but it's a fun little thing we do.
My kids actually make up dad jokes with me. And they're like, did you just make that up? I'm like, yeah. They're like, how? Okay, guys, would you go to thestevescott.com and would you there register to receive the weekly email? And then you're also going to log in to get the screenshot and the free download. I'm going to give you a little preview. Coming up in April, I'm going to do a little bit of a giveaway challenge, okay? And you're going to need to be a couple things. Number one, subscribe to this channel on YouTube. Number two, be able to get the weekly download. You're logged in, you're there on the website, okay? That's going to be part of it. I'm going to give you the rest later, but it could include, perhaps some t-shirts involved, maybe
some awesome things.
Awesome things coming up. I'm excited to do it. So would you please go there and make sure you're subscribed. Subscribe to the channel, give this video a like. I'm excited to see what happens.
And whoever comments first, send us your email because we're going to send you a free t-shirt. Okay? I'm just going to put that
Chelsea's just putting it up there. Okay.
Because it's fun.
It's a race to the front of the line.
Yes.
Chelsea's like, is it a competition if we get the first one to do? I'm like, no, that's called a race. That's a race. All right, here we do it.
Make it a game.
Grab your journals, your scriptures, and your scripture markers. It's time for us to connect up. Today's lesson, we start into Matthew 13 and we get introduced to parables. Now, the Lord has given a few, but parables are a way of teaching, very common in Jesus' day, to be able to give a parable. And Jesus in chapter 13 starts teaching in parables. Now, why parables?
Yes.
Why parables?
Because those that were ready could hear them, and those that were not ready could not hear it. It just didn't make sense.
And be like, what is this? What is this talk?
And I think it protected the message, right? It kept it, protected is the word.
Now, it's a little bit different than like the lingo you might use in our culture. Like when I invited someone on my mission to come to the steak center for church, they said, you guys serve steak at your church? It's a chapel. Oh, why do you call it the steak center? I need to adjust that a little bit. When we taught culture, Jesus taught in parables so that those that would hear, and those that wouldn't. Okay? Now, you might look at these parables and go, I don't know what these mean. So let's dig a little bit. Now, as you read Matthew 13, I have a bit of a challenge for you. Okay, and this is what it is. There is a phrase that is found repeatedly in Matthew 13, and it is this: the kingdom of heaven is like. And when Jesus gives a parable, he'll say, the kingdom of heaven is like, and then he gives a parable of the wheat and the tares, the mustard seed, leaven, the treasure in the field, the pearl of great price, and a net cast into a seed, and the sower. And in all of these examples, Jesus Christ is showing his disciples what the kingdom of heaven is like. There's no concept. So some of you guys be like, what's heaven like? This should go to my friend Zach in California. Zach Monker, are you paying attention to this? Do you even watch? Are you awake? Zach asks me all the time. I'll be like, Zach, do you have any questions? Can I ask you, like, is there anything you want? He's like, yeah, what's heaven like? Well, heaven, the kingdom of heaven is like this. Now, this is different than your teenage daughter who's like what is like? This is a comparison to a parable, not a teenage daughter speaking. Hey, there was this one time I was teaching seminary, and this girl tried to answer a question, and she said the word like, I think 100 times in one comment. And I stopped and I looked, and I looked at one of the boys, and he goes, and I was like, that's how I feel. I don't know what you just said. But anyway, let us move on to a parable, shall we?
Yes, let's do it.
Do you want to tell them how excited you are about doing this?
The parable of the sower?
Yes. So we're not actually going to teach all of these parables.
We want you to go and read them, and we wanted to just narrow it down to the parable of the sower, because there's so much goodness in this one. There is in the other ones too.
There's so much in here, but we can't. Okay, half hour.
Do you guys got time?
We've got time. Like, that's 3.5 hours that we've mapped out for today. And since that's not going to happen, nor has it ever happened on our channel, we're going to leave you to be able to go study those specifics. We're going to pull out the parable of the sower, give you lots of good stuff, and let's study it. So let's connect.
Okay. So let's go to Matthew 13:3. Okay. And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, Behold, the sower went forth to sow.
Can you speak English for the teenager out there of what that means? What is a sower went out to sow? Because that would be like
someone planting seeds.
Yeah, but it could sound like someone like making clothes. A sower went out to sow.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
I only say that because I thought that when I was a little kid. I'm like, the parable of the sower?
Like you're sewing
Like
clothes?
you're sewing clothes? No. A sower, back in Jesus' day and in early parts, they would take their seeds and they would carry their seeds in a bag. A bag carried over their shoulder. There would be bags of seeds. After the ground had been like cultivated and prepared, a sower was a person who would go out, put their hand in the bag with seeds, and then broadcast or sow the seeds into the ground. All right, to plant them. So a planter went forth to plant.
Okay. Yes. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. And some fell upon stony places where they had not much earth. And forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprang up and choked them. But others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some 100, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. Okay, so what does this all mean?
So if Jesus left it right at there and said, well, we'd like to have a prayer. Who would like to close us out? And people go, what was that lesson about? There's a lesson here. If we just ended here, would you be able to take, without footnotes, without any interpretation, could you look at these verses of scriptures and go, I know exactly what this is about? Mm-hmm. I'm thinking there might only be a few.
Yeah. I also like in Matthew 13:11, because they're asking him why he speaks in parables. And again, he's saying, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. So there are mysteries of the kingdom of heaven in this parable of the sower.
And if you were to take and you were just to part the curtains for a second and you were to look into the windows of heaven, Jesus would say the kingdom of heaven is like, and he said it above where it's like wheat and tares, or like a mustard seed, or it's like, and in this one he says the kingdom of heaven is like a sower who went out to sow, and he broadcasted the seeds and he sowed, and some fell here and some fell there and some fell there, and his disciple goes, what does that mean? And luckily
he does explain
he
it.
explains this one,
And this is in 18.
so let's go to 18.
So go down a little bit. Do you want to read 18?
Yeah. Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom, and understand it not, then cometh the wicked one, and it catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. That is he which received seed by the wayside. So what kind of person is this? The one who the fowls ate up all the seed. In other words, he gave the seed that took no root. There was nothing there.
Yeah, there was no connection. Nothing.
It's like, have you ever shared a gospel experience with someone and it's like glazed over? Or has there ever been an opportunity? I know in missionary work, and I know in teaching, and I know in sharing the gospel, that oftentimes there are people who are not interested at the moment at all.
They're not ready.
Not ready. And you could cast seeds at them all day long. Mm-hmm. And at that moment, they are not currently ready. Does that mean you stop? No. We'll share with you why in just a minute, okay? But in verse 20, but he that received the seed into a stony place, the same is he that heareth the word, and none with joy received it. He's like, this is amazing. Yet hath he not root in himself, but it endureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arise, behold, of the word by and by, because of the word by and by, he is offended.
So there's certain things that they'll accept and certain things that they will not accept. So there's some things in here, he being offended, because I think we can all bring offense if we want to, or become offended because we are reading into some sort of situation that might not necessarily be true, or maybe it is, but is it our responsibility to hold those sorts of grudges and deny ourselves the blessings of the kingdom of heaven? So when he's saying when things get hard, so tribulation or even persecution, they're like, I just can't do this. This is just too hard.
So let's talk about faith having a short shelf life for a second. Again, I'm the only one that nourishes the ground that I'm in. Okay? And if it gets a little hard-hearted, a little bit, it's like, have you ever seen a seed grow up through concrete or through asphalt and come up? Have you ever seen that? Where you go, how did that make it up there?
It doesn't last long,
and
usually.
It's not going to last very long. Mm-hmm. But there are moments in life where when I haven't felt nourished, or I haven't been doing the work, that it feels like the tribulation and the things coming are just too much. But when the ground is prepared and just nourished, then when it comes, it's a different response. I don't know what part of life you're at right now, but I can tell you from the parable that if you feel quickly offended, or you feel like there are things that are really causing you just grief about the gospel kingdom, or about what others have done to you, that I would take a look at your soil, not theirs. Okay? We don't take a pH tester over to their soil and be like, that's like beans and motes, right? So we get to look at our own soil and go, where am I? And you'd be like, I'm in a stony spot right now.
But it also makes me think, if you're a sower and you're trying to sow seeds onto someone who's not ready, they're just not in that place, and you're throwing seeds at them and they're covered in seeds, and you're like, come on, get the seed, get it growing. When what you really need to be doing is nourishing your own seed.
And loving the other. Absolutely.
Of course, yes.
Yes.
Loving them too.
Okay, should I carry on?
Sure.
All right. He also that receiveth seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful.
So the care of the world
The cares of the world.
and the deceitfulness of riches. So studying this, I was able to go into Elder Oak's talk, and he was talking about the deceitfulness of riches and how we can get caught up in this belief that money is going to solve all our problems, or money can fix things, or fix relationships, or it's going to fix my stress or my anxiety. There's something about money that can help us in some form. But what the reality about money is, it's just money. Because when you're talking, money is not blessings. Money is not attached to that. Like, you can be financially blessed, but that doesn't mean that's like God only blesses you financially because you're doing what's right. And so Elder Oaks talked a lot about that. There's like,
Can you name the talk for them so they know?
the sower. Pretty
Okay.
sure it's the
I'm going to
sower.
go there in my space scriptures.
Yeah, let's read
And
some of
I'm
it.
going to share with you a few things, because I do actually have Spaceman scriptures, and I do actually use them. Okay.
Yes.
So this talk it's the parable of the sower. It's May 2015. Okay, April 2015 General Conference. All right, and Elder Oaks talks about. He doesn't spend a lot of time about the wayside, and he doesn't spend a lot of time on the stony ground, but he does spend time a little bit in the thorny places.
Mm-hmm.
And he does talk a little bit about like having no root. So this is one that he talks about in the talk when he talks about stony ground with no root. Okay, so just going back a little bit, and he talks about young people. All right, and I think this can apply to us too, because I think the process between 2015, 8 years ago, to now, that you might see adults doing this as well. Okay? It says young people. If the teaching seems too general, here's a specific example. If the emblems of the sacrament are being passed, and you are texting or whispering or playing video games or doing anything else to deny yourself essential spiritual food, you are severing your spiritual roots and moving yourself towards stony ground. You are making yourself vulnerable to withering away when you encounter tribulation like isolation, intimidation, or ridicule.
And that end sentence.
And that applies to adults too.
Yes, so not
Isn't
just...
that a great example?
It is, but what I really liked about what he said was you're severing your spiritual roots, but you're also denying yourself essential spiritual food. Okay? Because when we are thinking about the next step is the law of the harvest, like making sure that our seeds are deeply planted, they're the right seed, and they're getting nourished, and your roots are growing really deep. Okay, so that is an opportunity for us to strengthen our spiritual roots when we're, in the sacrament or doing our essential covenants and all the other things like reading, praying. What did I say? Reading our scriptures, those sorts of things.
Praying our scriptures and
Praying
reading our
and
prayers. Is it possible for someone to progress from here or like digress from here to here?
Yeah.
And is it possible for someone to progress from here to here? And what is it? And how do you do it? So let's look in verse. I'll say one about the stony ground. One more. Do you see that?
I want to do the deceitfulness of riches next.
Oh, so one of the things in Elder Oak's talk was when he said the keyhole view for adults of the gospel of Jesus Christ, where some people will take a keyhole view of the gospel and look very narrowly upon a specific situation or event or person and not have the broader eternal perspective of everything else. And he said that can plant you on stony ground and in thorns. It can choke you out. Okay?
Okay, so let's go to the deceitfulness of I keep struggling. Okay.
I want to hear her do it again.
Deceitfulness of riches. Okay.
Okay. In the same talk.
When attitudes or priorities are fixed on the acquisition, use, or possession of property, we call that materialism. Those who believe in what has been called the theology of prosperity are suffering from the deceitfulness of riches. The possession of wealth or significant income is not a mark of heavenly favor, and their absence is not evidence of heavenly disfavor. There is no connection between the two. Money is just money, and Satan can use it for evil, God can use it for good, and we can be the instruments to help that either of those ones happen, but it has nothing to do with favor or the love of God for us. Our son was sharing how he went into a family's home, and one was like really chaotic, and he could just feel like just the spirit was missing in their home. They were lived in poverty, they didn't have barely anything. And then he went into a same kind of material situation. They made about the same money, they lived in poverty, but he walked in their house and it was peaceful,
filled with the Spirit.
It was like there was pictures of Christ on the wall, like he could feel the Spirit, but they had the same means, right, amount of money that they earned, but there was so much there. So the Lord will bless us in different ways. He will bless us if we do what's right. That is a truth. But he's going to bless us if we pay tithing. The windows of heaven will be opened, but they will be opened in your like unimaginable ways.
In God's way.
In God's ways.
So when we look into the kingdom of heaven, what will we see? What will you see? Well, you will not see the fact that prosperity and riches and righteousness are all tied together. You won't see that in the kingdom of heaven. I had a conversation with someone where they said, I can't believe someone got sick, and they said, I can't believe they got that sick. I mean, he was a bishop, and they served a mission, and he was in the state presidency, and he still got really sick, and they said those aren't connected. That's not how this works. And so when we look at when we look at the parable of the sower, adversity plays a role in every single spot. Mm-hmm. Okay? There is life that happens in every single spot. But the next part is the ground, like the nourished ground.
And it also gives us opportunities to grow those roots, right? If everything's just perfect and there's no hard things, then how strong are your roots going to be? Elder Christofferson's talk about like the winds and the trees and like having that deep root system. So it doesn't mean that you don't have hard trials in your life. That's not what that means. Those are opportunities for you to grow and expand and to learn again to choose the Savior through the hard things of life.
So let's go to verse 23.
Yes, let's do it.
But he that received seed into the good ground is he that heareth the word and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit and bringeth forth some 100-fold, some 60, and some 30. So can we talk about like when I am allowed, like when I allow myself, I've nourished my ground, I've done, and I hear and I understand and I've sown and I receive. Then I have the opportunity to multiply that. Mm-hmm. And it really is quite significant to be like, then I can bear fruit. And he said, and some 100, some 60, some 30, they had it at different levels.
Mm-hmm. That multiplication of multiplying your efforts, right? We were talking about the seed, how that one seed can grow so many seeds, right? Like it'll grow and have those mature seeds that you can sow again. So being that one, like that seed really, really matters, right? Sowing that seed.
So take for example, if I have one seed for wheat and I'm able to plant it and it grows in good ground and I nourish it, plant it and it grows, then I can harvest all those other seeds that are there. Then I can take those seeds and I can repeat the process and plant the seeds, nourish the seeds, and then they will grow. Over time, I could literally have billions of seeds filling like thousands of acres of land and growing and producing. Think of the story of Alma and his experience with King Noah. Think of Abinadi, one seed, who then had one seed convert, who then planted more seeds and brought forth more fruit, and therefore it brought a lot. And then we get to this experience where, because of that man Abinadi and that man Alma, we get to Alma chapter 32, which is Alma and Amulek, Alma's son, right? Is this Alma's son? This is Alma the younger. This is Alma.
So this brought me to, as I was doing my studying, to Alma 32, because it's like that experiment on the word, and you're putting in a seed and you're nourishing it and all of these things. But it just really related to the sower, because it brought it more in a depth to the seed and our responsibility to nourish and to feel the stirrings and know that it's a good seed, and having that responsibility.
So turn your scriptures to Alma 32. Here's a cross reference. Okay. We don't normally jump, but we're jumping. We're going over to the Book of Mormon.
So now we will compare the
what
word.
Verse are you in?
28.
Okay.
Sorry, Alma 32, 28. Now we will compare the word unto a seed. Now if we give place that a seed may be planted in your heart, behold, if it be a true seed or a good seed, if you do not cast it out by your unbelief, that you will resist the Spirit of the Lord, behold, it will begin to swell within your breasts. And when you feel these swelling motions, ye will begin to say within yourselves, it must needs be that this is a good seed, right? That's the natural response. This is a good seed, or that the word is good. These words are truth, because you can feel it. For it beginneth to enlarge my soul. It beginneth to enlighten my understanding. Yea, it beginneth to be delicious to me. So all you converts that have had this experience, I want to hear about it, because this is what happens, and not necessarily and we can become converts if we were raised in the church. It's like our own spiritual process of that journey, right?
Because it's this process. Some of you be like, well, I was pretty much planted on the wayside. Like, I feel like I was just kind of thrown out there in life. And other people are like, no, I was planted in a pretty stony part of ground. And I grew, and as I grew, it nourished. And some would be like, I was choked out by weeds at one point, or thorns. But man, this is a process. And in this Alma 28, Alma and Amulek, this is Alma the younger, he is teaching a very low class of people. And he's like, hold on, it's not about your class. It's about the seed and the fruit.
So he's talking about the seed that you're planting it in your heart. It's going to expand. You're going to start feeling these feelings. And you're going to go to 37, and behold, as the tree begins to grow. So like the seed's going to start growing. You're going to let us nourish it with great care, that it may get root, that it may grow up and bring forth fruit unto us. So these we cannot skip steps when it comes to like this, the law of the harvest. Like you're planting that seed, okay? This is like growing a garden. Your faith, your spirituality is like a garden. You're going to sow those seeds. They're going to go in the ground, and you're going to make sure that's a good soil, like your heart is in a good place. Then you're going to nourish it with great care. Like you want this tree to have deep roots. You want it to be strong and healthy. You want it to produce lots of fruit.
What if you only weeded your garden one time? Like, what if you did that? Like, what if you only planted and then walked away? I think consistency is a really important part here.
Totally.
Okay, consistency is really, really important.
And in 38 and 39, it's talking like if you neglect the tree, I mean, this makes sense. Like if you're neglecting your spirituality or your testimony, it's not going to grow. Like it just won't. If you're not doing the work to connect, it won't grow, and you might blame it on the seed. Is it the seed's fault? No, it's because it wasn't nourished. Okay, and then 42. So if you're nourishing the word, and then because of your diligence and your faith and your patience with the word and nourishing it, that it may take root in you, behold, by and by you shall pluck the fruit thereof, which is most precious, which is sweet above all that is sweet, and which is white above all that is white, yea, and pure above all that is pure. And ye shall feast upon this fruit, even until you are filled, that ye hunger not, neither shall ye thirst. Like it's such a powerful gift, and this is the kingdom. Like this is how the kingdom feels. Like it will fill up your heart and soul. Your soul, everything will expand. Your heart, your capacity, all the gifts from God will expand inside of you. And then 43 is, then my brethren, ye shall reap the rewards of your faith and your diligence. These are words that are so important when you're growing, like the law of the harvest. Diligence and patience and long suffering, waiting for the tree to bring forth fruit unto you.
Cross-reference. 1 Nephi chapter 8, verse 10. And it came to pass that I beheld a tree whose fruit was desirable to make one happy. And it came to pass that I did go forth and partake of the fruit thereof. And I beheld that it was most sweet above all that I had ever before tasted. Yea, and behold, the fruit thereof was white, to exceed the whiteness that I had ever seen. And as I partook of the fruit thereof, it filled my soul with exceeding joy. Wherefore I began to be desirous that my family should partake of it also, for I knew that it was desirable above all other fruit. See, when we look at the gospel into the kingdom of heaven, we then should be able to look at other parts of the gospel word, like the scriptures, and be able to see that same pattern appear in multiple places. So we found it in Alma 32. You can find it in the parable of the sower. You can find it in the vision of the tree of life. Like, you can find this. And then we have the words of Elder Dallin H. Oakes, who testifies again. This again becomes clear to us that my nourishment in the kingdom of heaven, and the kingdom of heaven is like unto Steve Scott, who had to, do you know what I mean? Nourish. So look at it. Seed, plant, nourish, reap the fruit.
Yes. Right? And what happens, even in the tree of life that you were just reading, Lehi is partaking of this fruit that fills him with so much joy. Like, it just fills up your heart and soul. Have you ever had that experience with the gospel of Jesus Christ? That's probably why you're here. You've had that experience. You've partaken of that fruit, and you're like, oh my gosh, this opened up everything. I just spoke to a woman who's been single her whole life. She found the gospel. Like, she has a very hard past, and when she found the gospel, it changed everything for her. It just completely shifted her entire life, and she was able to partake of that fruit and taste and know, like, it helped, it like expanded her, and she felt that spirit of truth. So when you partake of this fruit, just like Lehi, what did Lehi do? He's like, who else needs to partake of this fruit? This was so good.
I think he used the word in the footnote was scrumdiddlyumptious.
So good.
I think that's in the footnote in Nephi chapter 8. If it's not, it should be.
But right? Like, it's so delicious, nothing can compare to that joy that you feel when the gospel penetrates your heart. You allow it in, you let that seed in, you nourish it, you take care of it, you reap the rewards at the end, that harvest. You partake of that fruit, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. And that's what the kingdom of heaven tastes like, feels like.
It's so amazing to watch this. I love the process of watching people like receive the seed, plant the seed, have it planted, and watch it grow. I love watching. I felt it in my own life. I repeatedly feel the growth. I have a teen program that I coach at. It's called Teen Academy, and one of the things that I teach in Teen Academy is that spirituality is an essential part of our life. And they go like, spirituality? And I was like, yes, it's absolutely essential, because it's the only thing we can take with us. And so I love watching the lights come on as they go, I'm in charge of my own spirituality. And we talk, and I give them a challenge. And my challenge is this, is like, what are you currently needing to improve on in your spirituality that you know if you did it right now, that you know it would improve your spirituality over time? This is the nourishment of the fruit. And so
here's some questions. So what seeds am I sowing? We want to intentionally plant those seeds. We don't
the
just
right seeds.
Any seeds, right?
Probably not on TikTok. Just saying.
And then, am I nourishing my seeds? How am I nourishing them? Am I really looking at these things that I'm planting in my heart that I want them to be sustainable, that I want them to stay in my life, you have to look at it just like the law of the harvest. You have to prepare the ground. You have to plant the right seed, nourish the seed, weed the garden, harvest the fruit, and then share it with others. Oh, I touched your board.
You guys, she touched the board. Can we just point out how nice the board looks today? Can you guys see that there was a feminine influence upon the whiteboard today?
Mm-hmm.
You see that?
Yep.
So this right here is the law of the harvest. Some will say, you reap what you sow. Yes, that's in simplified terms.
So I won't erase this, but what if you just crossed off one of those? Like, you're not actually weeding, you're not nourishing or harvesting or preparing the ground. If you just kind of just took one of those steps out, would this harvest happen?
The answer is negatory.
Yes, and then at the end, am I sharing the fruit? Am I sharing that fruit that I've harvested and worked hard to bring into my life and feel that joy? Am I sharing that excitement, that passion, that joy, happiness with other people?
I would compare, do you guys remember Daffy Duck in the old cartoons?
Yeah.
Do you remember Daffy? Remember he would say things like, mine, all mine. Remember he'd say that? Like he'd find money and be like, mine, all mine. And that was Daffy Duck's approach to money and things, but that is not a gospel approach to be able to live with. So if you skip a step, you're gonna have to duck, okay? Because that's like Daffy Duck. But you have all of these steps that we prepare. I love the parable of the sower. I love it.
Good.
It runs deep. But where are you at currently? What can you do to plant, nourish, fertilize, weed, cultivate, share, harvest? What can you do? What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yep. So we're so grateful for you guys. Thank you for joining us today. We love you. And we know that our Heavenly Father, Jesus Christ, and our Savior love you. And you can find the answers. You can find the help that you need. Just connect up and they'll be there for you. You will receive the answers and the revelation that you have been praying for. We hope this class inspired you. We hope you're going to share in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking, what you're learning. I want to hear some conversion stories too. Like, even if you've been a member all your life, how have you partaken of that fruit and tasted it? What has it done for you in your life and how has it blessed you? Please share that with us. And
the word of the week. Because at the end of the video, I got to give a word of the week. Although the title of today's lesson is The Kingdom of Heaven, and that's part of the parables, the word of the week, it's got to be scrumdiddlyumptious.
What?
I know. I want something that people are going to have to figure out how to spell. Why? Because I just have thought of it. And I think it's unique. You're going to have to weed that.
I don't know how to spell it. Okay, good.
Scrumdiddlyumptious. You guys know I'm always just going to keep you on your toes, so good luck with that. And we'll see you next week on Come Follow Me.
Bye, you guys.
Love you, bye.